WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
Good morning and welcome to Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell. Now for today's show, here's attorney Ethel Mitchell.
Welcome. I am your host, attorney Ethel Mitchell. Welcome to all who are listening on 1450 AM, live throughout the world on WOLDC.com, LawTalkWithEthelMitchell.com, and over the free TuneIn app. This program is brought to you by my law office, Wills and Trust, LLC, where I prepare wills, trust, power of attorneys, and advanced medical directives. If you or someone you know needs a will, a trust, or assistance in administering an estate, call me at 202-772-1988. That's 202-772-1988. We have a big announcement today. This radio program, Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell, is growing. We are expanding into an hour-long format. Beginning in July, we will be airing from 9 to 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That will give us more time to bring you more information and to receive your calls and your comments. So remember, set your clocks to hear us earlier, beginning in July, from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be on the air for a full hour, same station, same websites. So tell your friends and listen in. Law is a powerful weapon. It can help you or it can hurt you. It impacts everything you do. What you don't know can hurt you, but what you do know can empower you. Each week, Law Talk aims to empower you by bringing you professionals who know the law or related fields to enlighten and inform you. This week, we have another excellent program for you. Attorney Yolanda McGill will enlighten us about foreclosure scams. They are quite sophisticated, shockingly so. I was amazed as I talked to her, and I look forward to sharing this important information with you from the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. So listen carefully. If you or anyone you know is facing foreclosure, make sure they hear this program. And remember, all of our programs are archived on LawTalkWithEthelMitchell.com. So if you missed a program or you just want to hear it again, go there, and the programs are posted by my excellent webmaster, Earl Hooks, within 72 hours of airing. We want you to be part of the conversation. So call us at 1-800-450-7876. That's 1-800-450-7876. My executive producer, Stacy Royster, is standing by to pass along your comments and your questions. Tweet us at LawTalkEM and like us on Facebook with Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell. I must remind you, as always, that what you hear on this show is for information purposes only. No attorney-client relationship is established by anything said on this show. Each person's circumstances are different, and you must seek individual counsel for any situation for which you need legal advice. So let's get started. This month is Home Ownership Month. I decided to explore home ownership resources and solutions for current homeowners and those interested in purchasing a home. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 64.8% of the United States people owned their own homes. Barely 5 years ago, however, in 2009, the home foreclosures were in the millions, and equity lost by families from foreclosed properties was headed into trillions of dollars. The Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under the Law noted that as foreclosures increased, fraudulent foreclosure and loan modification rescue scams also increased tremendously. Today we will explore this issue and tell you how you can get help. Attorney Yolanda McGill of McGill Law is our guest today. She is a graduate of New York University and the University of Michigan Law School. In 1999, she joined Atkin and Gump, where she worked in their firm's corporate bankruptcy financial restructuring section. She was selected as a Robert Bosch Fellow and worked in Berlin, Germany, where she advised Deutsche Bank staff and turnaround advisors on corporate reorganizations, workouts, and bankruptcy practice under U.S. law. She is a bilingual commercial attorney who advises small businesses and creatives, and is a consultant with the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, where she manages the Loan Modification Scam Prevention Network. This network is a national project based in Washington, D.C., that coordinates efforts by government, non-governmental agencies, and the private sector to combat foreclosure-related financial fraud. The National Loan Modification Scam Database compiled over 40,000 complaints and $90 million in losses to homeowners. Homeowners, African Americans, Latinos, and seniors in particular, are vulnerable. From 2009 to 2012, law firms donated legal work to this effort valued at over $12 million. So we want to tell you what to be careful of, what to look out for, and I welcome and thank Attorney McGill for joining us. Thank you, Yolanda. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Ms. Mitchell.
This is a really big issue, especially in Maryland, where I understand there's a lot of foreclosure going on. But, a lot of us thought that this was kind of dying down, that it was no longer an issue. Tell me, how did this become such an epidemic?
Well, quite frankly, I think that it is an ongoing problem because we do still have distressed homeowners out there who are looking for help, and I think there's a few factors that are related to that. They're all sort of something of a perfect storm. So you have these distressed homeowners still seeking options, and I think the definition of distressed is broader than it has been in the past because we have folks who not only may be in a mortgage that they couldn't afford, but we've also got underemployed, unemployed. We have people who are maybe they're in a mortgage that they once could afford, but they're suddenly underwater and so cannot refinance as the way they expected to be able to. We have people who have gotten into mortgages that are adjustable rate, for instance, and they were expecting to be able to change into a different type of mortgage, and they find now that they cannot for a variety of reasons. And now that we are years into this housing and foreclosure crisis, a lot of these homeowners who remain without a resolution for this problem are some of the ones that are really sort of at the last gasp. They've been unemployed for a long time. They've maybe tried a lot of other options, or maybe they just are really leery of trying to deal with their bank for a variety of reasons, and so they're particularly vulnerable. We also, though, have additional factors that really should be helpful to these homeowners, namely that because the crisis was so bad and is going on for so long, there are a lot of programs out there that are available from the government, state and federal. But that means that there's a lot of money being put into the problem, and that money is supposed to be for distressed homeowners. But scammers see that as opportunity. They see this pool of distressed homeowners and this pool of money as opportunity, and it really is $1 million industry for these folks. As you mentioned at the top of your program, just in our database alone, our reports have compiled losses over $93 million reported into us, and we know that's just the tip of the iceberg. These folks are really making.
That's money that people have actually paid to the scammers.
That's right. That's money they've lost. And so some people actually report the loss of the value to their home, when a scammer has intervened and kept them from getting the help that they really needed, kept them from talking to their bank, kept them from actually getting into a real government program, and they've lost their house as a result. Some people actually report that loss into us as well.
It is a loss. It is a loss.
Yeah, but for the most part, it is actually money directly sent to a scammer.
Tell me, how does it work? What kind of things do they do? What should my listeners look out for? What should we tell people to be careful of? What are the red flags?
Absolutely. So typically, these scammers, they come in contact with a distressed homeowner because the homeowner is open to or is looking for a solution to either try to improve their mortgage rate, maybe they want a better rate or a lower monthly payment, or they're trying to avoid foreclosure. So we really want people to watch out for solicitations that come in the mail, that come over their landline or their cell phone, or that have come, in some way unsolicited. They should be very careful about that.
Unsolicited offers are to be careful. You're to be very careful with that.
Be very careful, exactly.
Okay.
Another thing that people are to look out for is if you hear a radio ad or see a TV ad that claims to be promoting some type of government program.
Okay.
We've had lots of complaints that say, well, I thought I was talking to the Obama folks. I heard that I qualified under the Obama plan. I saw an ad that said I was already qualified. All I had to do was call a phone number. And sometimes they'll say this in these phone calls or on these email unsolicited offers that you should be very leery of. The main government program is Making Home Affordable. And so if it's not a Making Home Affordable commercial, you should be very, very cautious. The Treasury Department is not putting out these commercials that say, call us and we can get you to some unnamed government program. So be very careful about that. Scammers are trying to pretend that they are legitimate.
And you said also that sometimes they create websites that look like real government websites and phone numbers that look like real government phone numbers. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, because a lot of the messaging that's been correctly promoted and heard from distressed homeowners over the last couple of years is that the best help is free and that a homeowner should be talking to a HUD-approved housing counselor. So you should be talking to HUD, and you should be also looking for the Treasury Department's Making Home Affordable program. So some scammers, unfortunately, have gotten a hold of homeowners because they've pretended to be connected with Treasury. They've pretended to be connected with HUD. We've had people go to HUD.com, for instance, or Treasury.com.
So HUD.com is not a government agency.
That is correct. If you're looking for a real set of resources, and it should be a government resource, then .gov. Is
okay, I want to repeat that so people can hear that. HUD.gov is real. HUD.com is not a real government site.
That's right.
Okay.
And it really is the case that because there's so much money to be made, there are a lot of scammers who are putting a lot of tricks out there to trick a distressed homeowner. And so anything that says Obama stimulus plan or something like that is not going to be legitimate. You really need to be going to makinghomeaffordable.gov, for instance.
.gov. Makinghomeaffordable.gov is the only real site. Okay.
That's right.
And HUD.gov also, I guess.
And HUD.gov, that's right. A homeowner can go there to actually find a legitimate housing counselor. And this is important because the main problem with foreclosure rescue fraud is that people are losing money that they should have been able to apply to, for instance, their mortgage or to other household bills. And the real crime in this is that under federal rules and also under 30 or so state laws, it is illegal to take money from a homeowner to get them a modification before they actually have that modification from their bank approved and in hand.
Say that again, please, Yolanda. Say that again. Right. I think it's important for people to understand that because I know I didn't know it at all.
Yes. Under federal rules and under about those state laws, it is illegal for these foreclosure consultants, so-called, to take money from a homeowner to get them help with their foreclosure until that homeowner has a resolution in their hand that they have accepted from their bank.
Okay, so lawyers that do that, is that improper as well?
Well, so that's a little bit more of a wrinkle, and I'm glad you brought that up. What we have seen is that in many of these state laws and under the federal rules, there is an exception. And there's an exception there because lawyers, a lot of times, will take what's called a retainer. when they accept you as a client. And that retainer is, in essence, money that's paid up front. And as you know, the retainer is held and then drawn down as the attorney earns that money through billable hours.
Through their work, right.
That's right. So what these lawmakers wanted to do was to avoid a lawyer not being able to take that retainer and to be able to provide real legal services.
Okay.
What unfortunately we have seen is that non-lawyers have tried to buddy up to lawyers to partner, so-called, with them so that they can use that exception to take these upfront fees. Now, what we have seen in the Lawyers Committee's work, the Lawyers Committee has brought 14 lawsuits against foreclosure rescue scammers. Unfortunately, half of those lawsuits involved attorneys. We sued attorneys. And this is because even though those exceptions are on the books, the attorney has to be within a certain set of restrictions for that to apply. And what we've seen in the scamming environment is that a lot of times these attorneys and their non-attorney partners, let's just call them, are not compliant with the exception. So the attorney should not have been taking that money in that regard.
Okay.
So something that we try to point out to people, attorneys and clients alike, is that even if you are not familiar with these laws, you should be familiar with the rules of professional conduct.
Okay.
And there are elements in the rules of professional conduct that directly speak to very typical scamming activities. And just three quick buckets. There are restrictions on lawyers partnering with non-lawyers. You know, a lawyer is not supposed to partner with a non-lawyer to go into business. There are restrictions on where a lawyer may practice, right? So even under these exceptions, any lawyer that is trying to help a homeowner needs to be licensed in the state where the homeowner is or the property is.
So if you get solicitation from nationwide or out of state, even lawyers, to help you with your mortgage restructuring, you should be very careful.
Red flag. That is a red flag. You should not be working with that lawyer. That lawyer is not in compliance.
So they have to be local, okay?
They have to be local, and that's another way to protect yourself. If you found a lawyer online, if somebody, and you're talking to them, and they say, oh, well, yeah, we just need you to send your payment to this place in California, and you live in Maryland, that's a red flag.
Don't do it.
Do not do it.
Okay.
Matter of fact, 68% of our homeowner complaints that allege attorney involvement also allege that it was an out-of-state scam.
Okay, so that's another thing to be careful of, out-of-state.
That's
How
right.
else do they get your money? I mean, you were saying, do you give them information that they then use to go in and get your money that's in your bank?
Well, unfortunately, that happens quite frequently. And this has happened to not only homeowners who are, for instance, going online or talking with someone on the phone, and they hand over their bank account information. They hand over information about their credit, their personal identifying information. What we've also seen is that they will either knowingly or unknowingly, in the process of filling out paperwork to get help, sign over access. It's called automated clearinghouse access, or ACH. They'll sign over access so that the payments can be drawn directly out of the bank account. People need to be very, very clear about the paperwork that they're signing and the rights that they're signing away, because once these ACH forms get approved and sent into your bank, they're very hard to cancel. They're very hard to get stopped. And that's not the only thing.
And they go in and take your money out. Is that right?
They go in and take your money out, and once it gets to a certain time, once it's been in effect for a certain amount of time, it's very difficult to get your bank to cancel them. Okay. Not only that, though, we've also got people who are signing away their house when they are signing away some of this paperwork. They get packets that look very official from these scammers who look like they might be attorneys or look like they might be government affiliated, and the packs of paper are very thick and very long. A lot of times in these packets, though, they will have you signing away a deed, like a quitclaim deed. They will have you signing away access to your bank account, and they will have you signing something that actually, when you read the fine print, says, by the way, we do not represent you.
Oh, my God.
You're taking your money on a regular basis, but we don't actually represent you.
Oh, that is awful.
So it really is it's a very tricky environment for homeowners out there who are looking into trying to fix their mortgage problems or to save their home from foreclosure. It is very complex, and the best option for an advocate to help you through this is a HUD-approved housing counselor. And
HUD doesn't charge you any money except maybe for a credit report. Is that correct?
That's correct. In fact, federal rules mandate that housing counselors cannot charge for foreclosure mitigation counseling. So if you go to a counselor, they might charge you for credit counseling, for instance, or they might charge you if you're a first-time home buyer or something to that effect. But if you're going to a housing counselor to help save your home from foreclosure, they cannot charge for that. And what is very important to understand about this, and I see this over and over when I talk to homeowners, is that they assume because that help is free, because they're going to the local United Way office or something, and in that homeownership counselor, that housing counselor is sitting there in maybe a somewhat dingy office, that help is no good, and that it's better to go to a lawyer that's going to charge $5,000, that person can work miracles. But that could not be further from the truth. The opposite is actually true. The housing counselor is the professional you want. They're the ones who do this full time. They're the ones with the connections with the bank. They're the ones with the technological infrastructure. They're the ones who can independently assess your financial situation, because what a distressed homeowner needs to understand is that it might be time to let that house go. It might be time to move into a more sustainable, cheaper option, and the housing counselor can give you that real deal assessment.
Or they can help restructure so that you can keep your house. Is that also
yes,
an
but
option?
People need to understand that the best option might be to let the house go. A lot of distressed homeowners, they're out there trying to buy the answer that they want to hear. Mm-hmm. And so it really is important to get that clear-eyed assessment. A lot of heart goes into your home, but if it is so that you really cannot afford that home and you need to maybe move into a different home or into a rental, it is better to understand that and know that rather than to keep throwing hundreds and thousands of dollars towards somebody who's just telling you what you want to hear but is really not going to be able to help you.
The other thing that I understand that these scammers do is they tell you to stop paying your mortgage, and that decimates your credit, so you can't get out of it. Is that correct?
That's correct. The scammers' pitches have become more sophisticated because, and I give all credit to homeowners who are getting more and more savvy about who they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. And most people now understand that it's not okay to stop paying the mortgage. But what the scammers might say is, well, we'll take care of paying your mortgage for you.
Oh my God.
Or we'll handle that. The lawyer will handle that. Part of your money will go to the attorney fees. Part of your money will go to your bank. What homeowners really need to be doing is staying in contact with their servicer. You need to know whether or not the payments are going to the servicer. You need to know whether or not this scammer or this third party is even talking to your servicer. Sometimes it, again, is appropriate, such as a counselor or a real attorney, to be in touch with the bank and in touch with you. But a lot of times what's going on is that the money's just going to this third party, to the scammer, and the servicer never hears from the homeowner or the third party, and then the servicer just goes ahead and moves along with foreclosure when the homeowner thought that the issue was being handled.
Well, Yolanda, you've been very, very helpful. Unfortunately, the time is running so fast. That's part of the reason why we want to move to an hour. But I want to give out your information. You can reach Attorney Yolanda McGill at 202-662-4379. Again, that's 202-662. I'm sorry, it's 8379. 8379. Is that correct, Yolanda?
Well, what I would advise people to do is, if they are looking for solutions for their home, for their mortgage, or for avoiding foreclosure, they should call 888-995-HOPE.
Okay, thank you.
And then they can talk to a HUD-approved housing counselor there, or they can report a scam. If they know someone that has been scammed, or if they think they've been scammed, please call that number. That is, again, 888-995-HOPE. And if they would like more information about foreclosure rescue fraud, they should go to our website at preventloanscams.org.
Preventloanscams.org. Okay.
That's correct.
And in closing, I just want to kind of try and repeat some of the points you made. For anybody that is facing this, do not go to HUD.com. Only go to makinghomesaffordable.gov. Is that correct?
Makinghomeaffordable.gov, so no S,
no
or
S, okay.
HUD.gov.
HUD.gov, okay. Do not respond to unsolicited offers on the radio or the TV. Do not pay money up front for fees or for any kind of work having to do with your foreclosure. Only deal with HUD-approved counselors. Would you say that is those are like a summary of the kinds of things you want people to know and be aware of?
That is exactly correct, yes. And there are some lawyers out there who do legitimate foreclosure defense work. That is true. But in this environment, because there's so many people out there taking advantage of distressed homeowners, it is safer to first go to a HUD-approved housing counselor.
Okay. Thank you very much. This has been Attorney Yolanda McGill, and I really appreciate McGill. Okay, you sharing this important information with my audience. I really do appreciate it. The Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law has a lot of projects, but this, I think, is one of the most important and timely topics that they help people with. So this has been Attorney Ethel Mitchell of Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell. Go to my website, lawtalkwithethelmitchell.com. Give me a call at 202-772-1988 if I can help you or someone you know with preparing your will, your trust, or assistance in probating an estate. That's the kind of work that I do. We will continue to bring you timely and important subjects with useful, practical information. Stay tuned next week. We'll have some more information that's really important. And remember, in July, we go to 9 to 10, 1 hour for our program. Thank you, and I look forward to talking with you next week. Have a good week.
You've been listening to Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell. Be sure to tune in next Saturday at 11:30 a.m. for another informative broadcast. To reach Attorney Mitchell, you may do so by calling 202-772-1988. That's 202-772-1988. Or log on to her website, www.lawtalkwithethelmitchell.com.
1 in 5 children in America go to school hungry every day. I'm Viola Davis. I was one of those children. I was one of the nearly 17 million kids who worry where their next meal will come from. Join me with the Safeway Foundation and the Entertainment Industry Foundation to help us end childhood hunger.
Help undo hunger for America's children. Go to hungeris.org to learn more.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So we all know we've got a lot of talent in America. But unfortunately, there's something else we've got way too much of. Childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gather surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
1450 WOL, Washington, D.C. and WPRS HD2, Waldorf, Washington. A Radio 1 station and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
I'm Dr. Mary Harris for Journey to Wellness. Around half of the current 90,000 patients on some kind of organ donation waiting list are African Americans, but there is a shortage of black organ donors. Victoria Dent, chairman of the Linkage to Life program, says part of the problem is that potential donors don't tell anyone about their donation decision.
Make sure that you inform your family because they make the final decision for you.
The Links organization has published the Can We Talk Conversation Guide.
We'll give them tips on how to start the conversation and how not to focus on death, but focus on life.
And research shows that the transplant gift is more likely to be successful with a better tissue match that shows up among the same race. If you'd like to be a donor, Dent suggests
see if their state has a state registry. They can also sign the back of their license or a donor card.
There's more at JourneyToWellness.com. I'm Dr. Mary Harris.
All over America, people are taking the National Radon Test. Have you? Answer true or false. Radon is a radioactive gas. True.
I didn't know that, no.
True or false. The Office of the Surgeon General recommends that all homes be tested for radon. True, your home should be tested. True or false, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. True.
I'm going to dial the number and call.
1-800-SOS-RADON.
Keep your family safe from radon. Call now.
1-800-SOS-RADON.
The odds of having a boy who grows up loving baseball,
1 in 6,
which earns him a college scholarship,
1 in 2,500,
that gets him a contract in the minors,
1 in 3,700,
which leads to starting shortstop in the majors,
1 in 290,000.
The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism,
1 in 150. You know the odds. Now learn the signs. Go to autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
1450 WOL, Washington, D.C. and WPRS HD2, Waldorf, Washington. A Radio 1 station and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com. 1450 WOL, Washington, D.C. and WPRS HD2, Waldorf, Washington. A Radio 1 station and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com. News Talk 1450 WOL AM, where information is power.
The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
Gonna make a change for once in my life.
Welcome to Make the Change, your weekly dose of inspiration for creating positive change in your life. Learn how changing your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions can lead to the life you desire and deserve. No need to go it alone. Let us become part of your journey to get from where you are to where you want to be. Every Saturday at noon, the show's host, Patricia Terrell, and her fabulous guests will lead you with a weekly prescription to invigorate your mind, body, and soul. Wait not a minute more. It's time to get started with Make the Change.
Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Patricia Terrell. Thank you for tuning in to Make the Change, your weekly dose of inspiration to empower you to live your best life. Living your best life is not always easy, especially if we lose our job, go through a divorce, or lose a loved one. And how can we even think of living our best life after receiving a life-threatening health diagnosis? What would you do if your visit to the doctor resulted in a diagnosis of cancer? How would you let the diagnosis impact your future outlook on life? Would you see it as the end of life or the ultimate fight for survival? In the studio with me today is the amazing Erica Campbell. She had to face these questions when she was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma at the young age of 27. Erica will share how the support of family and friends, the use of social media posts and YouTube videos, and a strong desire